the man they just want me. Many, many man they try to want you. I don't really mind, they just want me. Many, many girls they try to want me. Baby, no the man they just want me. So we say, Joe, look into my eyes, oh baby, Joe. Will you be my wife, oh baby, Joe, baby? Oh, why you rather for me, Joe, look into my eyes, oh baby, Joe. Will you be my wife, oh baby, Joe, baby? Joe, my baby Joe, my baby Joe, my baby Joe.
Okay, agreeably a soporific tune, but rendered so beautifully by Bernard Hill. I told you, go to his YouTube channel, and you'll be able to get much more. Now I can mention it because I see him here. We have got our deputy director, and this is Mr. Fred Okono. I mention it because I can see him here now. He is another wonderful person because he's an old boy of STAREHE. And in his days, he rose to be even the school captain of this school. But one great thing about him is that he's got an encyclopedic mind of everything about STAREHE. So he's all over here. He's the state marshal, overseeing that everything is going according to the letter. We're waiting for another entertainment group. Please make your way into the arena. Our honorable guests, our distinguished guests, and every other creature, sing. It's upon you. If you want to laugh until you get insane, I don't care. I'm about to begin, don't worry. Is a teacher in the school, he could not contain himself. A teacher who could not contain himself, and I can see. Also, there are some old boys. Oh, what an electrifying dance. That is doubtlessly a display of the energy. Yes, a beautiful display, enthusiasm and exuberance of our boys. In fact, even on the pavilion here, I could see many of the guests could not contain themselves, and they were just remembering those days of old when they would be the ones there. Wonderful, wonderful for that group. Now, for a more settling display by the band, otherwise we would all go apoplectic. Let's see this. Yes, we were asking the band will need the whole arena to themselves. The school band has always remained the most conspicuous aspect of the school. And in fact, it was started precisely for that reason, that many times they would be playing and their display would attract attention to STAREHE. And that is why they are always resplendent in their beautiful band uniform. And many days you will see them playing in national celebrations, many private and public functions, and all our important days here in school. If you do want the band to come and play for you, you can always get in touch with our director, and as long as it does not affect their learning, I'm sure he'll give it a consideration. I will not say for him whether it's at a pay or for free, but we are known to be generous. The school band. makes its exit, and it has been under the leadership of Gift Munene as the drum major. They make the exit, and it is for me now a manner of great honor and privilege to invite another wonderful person, an old boy of this school, Mr. Josephat Maura, Director, STAREHE Boys Center and School. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kamoni, for a wonderful program thus far. Our chief guest, the Chief Executive of Safaricom PLC, Mr. Patron, the representative of our patron, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, represented here today by Ms. Judy Kibaki. Mr. Ndegwa has also come with him this afternoon with two of his friends, Mr. Joshua Oigara, the Chief Executive of KCB Bank, and Mr. Stephen Gitagama, the Chief Executive of the Nation Media Group. And here today we are hosted by the Ministry of Education. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor George Magoha, is an old boy of the center, is out of the country. And today he is represented by the Permanent Secretary for State Education, for early learning and basic education, Dr. Julius John. Our Chairman of the Managing Committee, Mr. David Mureithi, members of the Managing Committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to welcome you to this significantly scaled down celebration of our 62nd Founders Day. We were not able to hold this event last year because of the disruption occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. And when we reflect on the last 18 months, we are deeply grateful that we are able to gather here today. And we also recognize that the world is yet to come to terms with the depth of disruption that was occasioned by COVID, particularly in the education sector. Since our last Founders Day on 27 July 2019, we have lost two members of staff, the late Anne Kingo, who was a teacher of English in the center, and the late Charles Kamonde, who had been a long-serving librarian. We have also received many reports of other transitions among alumni, close relatives of members of the STAREHE fraternity, and some of our benefactors and friends here in STAREHE. Among the latter, we remember with gratitude the late Chris Kirubi and Noshad Merali, who were both instrumental to the founding and were major contributors to the Griffin Memorial Endowment Trust. In addition, many of our boys have lost a parent, guardian, or close relative. Here in the center, we have a special process to break the tragic news and provide the emotional support they need, and in some cases, may the Lord rest their souls in eternal peace. Let me sit down. Death has a way of reminding us not only to celebrate the lives of the departed, but to honor them by celebrating our own lives and achieving what they desired for us. We want to bring that spirit of celebration to this 62nd Founders' Day. On 14th November 1959, the very first Founders' Day was held on these very grounds, and since then, STAREHE has remained true to the mission that the three founders committed their entire lives to. And that mission is to provide care and education for boys in need and inspire them to transform into productive and exemplary members of society. As part of that mission, STAREHE has always attracted inspirational figures from around the world, like the late Senator Robert Kennedy of the US, Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands, His Excellency Yakubu Gowon of Nigeria, Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, Pele, Muhammad Ali, and many others. It gives me the greatest joy today to have one of our own as chief guest. It is a clear demonstration that STAREHE has truly come of age, and our own alumni can now join in playing the role previously served by these international figures. Let us welcome our chief guest and his entourage with a hearty 7 Factorio. Mr. Ndego's presence here, and indeed the rise of alumni in various vocations, is testament to the efficacy of the mission of STAREHE and the set of ethos, values, and methods that we call the STAREHE way. The promise of STAREHE remains alive and well, that no matter how challenging your circumstances, no matter which part of the country you come from, or indeed the continent, if you work hard, persevere, remain tenacious through it all, preserve the core of who you are, you can take advantage of the transformative mission of STAREHE and rise to achieve your highest aspirations as evidenced by these men. You truly can aim high. My ardent prayer is that every Kenyan child can enjoy that promise, that transformation. And today, I have a really immense challenge to try and cover in this report, inspired since our last Founders' Day more than 2 years ago. I am afraid, men of STAREHE, that I am going to disappoint, because I cannot possibly cover the detailed reports that were submitted by the leaders of clubs and societies, together with their patrons, and I will just scan through them. But before we go any further, let me ask every leader of a club or society and every patron to be upstanding and please receive your well-deserved 5 Factorio. Please stand up, leaders of clubs and patrons of clubs. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the men and women amongst the patrons who coordinate some of the activities that you have seen here today and really that are an integral part to who we are here in STAREHE. Let us give them a hearty 5 factorial. Thank you very much. You may sit down. During the period under review, over and above the disruption occasioned by the pandemic, the center faced 2019. The chief principal was transferred out of the center. In January 2020, the deputy principal was transferred out of the center, compounding the problem of shortages in our teaching staff, which now stands at 20 required number. During our half-term in February 2020, we suffered a fire which damaged the study block that is used by our candidates. And a month later, the schools were closed on account of the pandemic. Without the boys in the center, our funding literally dried up. We were reminded once again that our sponsors finance our mission only as long as there are boys in the center benefiting from that mission. That is why we are a student-centered institution. Those who remained during the COVID-imposed long break received support from Novozymes, and we also received support from an alumnus of the center, who is also a member of the managing committee, Mr. Mohammed Welia, who provided monies for shopping, and which I was charged to do personally in the supermarkets and deliver to Mr. Waidaka, who will then distribute to the boys. Alumni also provided support to supplement the income of our staff, but by June 2020, it was clear that we could not sustain the payroll cost. We had to make a very difficult decision of letting some of our staff go, and the remaining team were working for as low as 30% of their pay. And yet they continued with their sacrificial service, maintaining the center to keep it at the ready to reopen, and in this beautiful way reinforce the admirable culture of sacrificial service and personal commitment that was established by the founders. That leadership team comprises of the deputy director, whom we have already seen, Mr. Frederick O'Connor, the head of student welfare, Mr. Patrick Waidaka. If you could stand up so that our guests can see you. The head of our academic team, Mr. Samuel Njiri. 5 senior masters. Senior Master 1, Ms. Beatrice Nyakiriga. Senior Master 2, Mrs. Cecilia Kiprop. Senior Master 3, Mr. Joseph Dede. And Senior Master 4, Mr. James Mwangi. Also, the Senior Master responsible for examinations, Mr. Samuel Kioe. And all of these are joined by the man who makes sure we get the money, Mr. Maurice Achach, and every Thursday morning we get together to plan for the week, to deliver what needs to be done in the center. I also want every other member of staff in the center to please be upstanding, because the report we are presenting today is not for one man, but every single member of staff. Please be upstanding for recognition. Men of STAREHE, let us accord them a very hearty 7 factorial. Thank you very much. I can never really describe the commitment, the sacrifice that we are seeing from this team and the transformation in the lives of the young men of STAREHE. Now, when the candidate class returned to the center in October 2020, we began to see the significant levels of stress that most of the boys suffered in the time away from school. We learned so much about what they had personally experienced and seen among their peers and other families in society. The stories we heard from them, as well as from the mentoring activities that some of us are engaged in, revealed that many young people had suffered almost irreparable damage from the long break away from school. Previously, students only stayed home for a maximum of 6 weeks during each school holiday. The nearly 10 months they stayed at home was unprecedented and exposed some of these young people to challenges and conflicts at home, to peer pressure, and most unfortunately, to conflicts and even contest for their hearts between parents. And many of them came back deeply fractured by fear and anxiety, insecurity, and in some cases, deep grief. Unfortunately, out there, how young people responded was through undesirable conduct, consuming inappropriate content, including pornography, pursuit of quick money through betting and forex trading, alcohol and drugs, and some even exploring their sexuality. Our boys came back to share with us the tests they had endured in this sea of moral deprivation. The great majority of them were able to withstand these tests and resist engaging in these vices, and they truly represented the best of STAREHE. In the midst of these challenges, students were told that they would get back to school within 2 weeks. And they would be coming back to unfamiliar ways that now limited their freedom and interaction with their friends as we observed the COVID containment protocols. Thankfully, even with the crippling staff shortages that we are still suffering from, our team was up to the task. They responded with understanding, patience, and unparalleled commitment to giving the highest priority to what we call in the center the care agenda. Here in STAREHE, we recognize that this was not the time for high-handedness and responding to any signs of delinquency with uncompromising strictness. That is not our way. In STAREHE, we recognize that this is a time to patiently read through the letters that the boys had written about their experiences, giving non-judgmental audience to each affected boy, no matter what they confessed. Provided they genuinely committed to put these experiences behind them, we in turn also committed to work with them to overcome the negative influence a small number had suffered and redirect their minds to their forthcoming examinations. We did find, we must confess, that a few boys had succumbed to temptation, and one of them actually sat me down and told me he used to take bangi 3 times a day like medicine. And in other places, you would expect that boy would be expelled. In here, we sat down with him, worked with him, and I can tell you now, he's now a student at the university because he sat his exams and qualified to join university. with all the issues we are seeing in our schools, our experience has demonstrated that patient, non-judgmental listening and commitment to support the students is what will deliver desired outcomes. What we are seeing elsewhere may be a breakdown of trust, inhibiting open and honest communication. This produces what I may describe as a crisis of listening. Students feel their parents and teachers and policymakers are not listening to them. Parents and teachers feel that students are not listening to them. Teachers feel that parents, the ministry, and their employers are not listening to them to appreciate the tremendous pressure they are facing to deliver teaching in tighter timescales, as well as to provide psychosocial support. When you are unheard, when you're not listened to, you construe injustice and react in anger, and in some cases, extreme action. Students react with shutting down and becoming incommunicado, but eventually explode into indiscipline, finding comfort among their similarly inclined, indisciplined, and low-achieving peers. Indeed, misery tends to love company. On their part, teachers resort to punishment and suspension as the default tools of correcting indiscipline. Parents turn on their children with cruelty, and the broken child, wondering where they belong, responds with rebellion. And the ministry and the TSC come down on everybody like a ton of bricks. We need to pause and listen to each other. We have a common interest to emerge out of the school system as whole and humane, equipped to realize our highest aspirations. That is what the student desires. That is what parents desire. That is what teachers want for their charges. And I believe that is what our policymakers also want. But we have to build a foundation of character first. Create a character of knowing thyself, believing in thyself, leading thyself to achieve those high aspirations. As the late Dr. Griffin advised in his book, School Mastery, a school head who puts his attention into trying to improve the teaching and learning of academic subjects is likely to be disappointed by the ultimate examination results. Whereas the head who concentrates on creating a happy and harmonious school, a school which develops qualities of integrity and habits of service in its pupils, will find academic success is added unto him or her. In the same book, Dr. Griffin wrote that the paramount aim of school discipline should be to endow each pupil with such habits of self-respect and proper pride in his own integrity that he will observe the norms of good conduct when not under compulsion or supervision, and will carry them eventually into his adult life. Sound discipline is an essential ingredient in the creation of a happy and industrious school community, performing properly its functions of training the citizens of tomorrow. So from that experience, when we resumed learning, we focused mainly on 3 priorities. Number 1 was protecting life and health. And the men of STAREHE know this, claiming our peace of mind and keeping our dreams top of mind. The lessons we had learned with our experience with the candidate class were applied to good effect when we came back, and we learned two things from STAREHE. That number one, discipline is capital. Discipline saves money, and discipline saves lives. We had a few cases when the Form 4s were here, but I can tell you from January, when we resumed, we have not had a single case of COVID amongst the boys. Now, all of this was made possible by also support from various donors. When the Form 4s were here, we had an alumnus of the center who came and provided branded masks for the entire school. Old boys in Isuzu provided us hand washing machine, and KEMSA, represented here by CEO Edward Joroge, gave us supplies of masks, thermal guns, and oximeters to monitor our health. We are really deeply grateful to all the donors who came to our aid. You have protected our lives, and we will always remember you with immense gratitude. The second priority is claiming our peace of mind. Having understood the challenges that young people faced when they were away from school, we have given primacy to assisting the boys to claim their peace of mind. This has included reinforcing the foundational principles of freedom, trust, and self-leadership, as well as the values of the STAREHE Mintmark. To borrow from the poem Invictus by William Ernest Henley, the ultimate aim is to make each boy the master of their own fate and the captain of their own soul, to empower him to exercise his freedom, to be trusted with the property of the center and with their own life, and to always exercise self-discipline and self-leadership. In STAREHE, boys enjoy unprecedented freedom. With our weekly baraza, where they can raise any issue, and our open door policy, where any boy can speak to an adult of their choice, including the director. Before the onset of COVID, provided a student maintained appropriate standards in the center and level of performance, he could leave the center and go into the city on Saturdays and Sundays, returning before roll call in the evening. This is a privilege we would like to restore as soon as possible. Where there is no scheduled half-term, we create our own internal break from Friday to Sunday, when the boys are left to relax or freely engage in their own interests and passions. The basis of that freedom that we grant is trust. Trust that you know who you are, what is the right thing to do, what you came to STAREHE for. And even though you will inevitably encounter challenges and temptations when you're out of the center, you will keep your head held high and do the right thing. Above all, self-leadership is integral to the process of admission into the center. Joining STAREHE requires you to complete a yellow form, to select STAREHE as the first choice school, and to return excellent KCPE results. You are who you are, you know what the pure desires of your heart are, and you know what your highest aspirations are. You are free to lead thyself. And with our total of about 1,100 boys enjoying this freedom, trust, and self-leadership, we now have resulting peace of mind. And we have come to conclude that that peace of mind is affected by three primary categories of issues. One is their family circumstances, and 2, their personal conduct, and 3, the academic pressure that they may face from time to time. The family circumstances, by the way, are agnostic of poverty or prosperity, rural or urban. You will find that challenges are encountered as much as in Mathare as in Muthaiga, in Karen as in Kibera, and everywhere around this country. Personal conduct comes back to create shame and guilt in the child, and they are unable to concentrate. And those who had challenges with academic performance, the very tight time scales we now have are causing a level of stress which needs great attention. Applying the foundational principles of freedom, trust, and self-leadership, we created a happy and harmonious school community in which boys are empowered and engaged in various pursuits until excellence is achieved. You have seen this morning some of the displays from the students, and I have no capacity to go through everything that we have done over the last 18 months, but in the detailed report that we will circulate, you will see these results from music to drama to debate, the scouting team, President's Award, the Environment Club, Junior Achievement, which is very popular with the boys, and which I'm sure Mr. Joshua Igara will be interested in because they are budding entrepreneurs who have even shareholders, they have a board of directors, and they do business in the center. Now, the third priority is keeping our dreams top of mind. This is where the academic pursuits come in. Each STAREHEan comes here with their own personal aspiration, and our role is to keep them inspired and engaged. Unfortunately, since the demise of our founders, the center had somewhat departed from the well-proven methods, and our academic performance had declined. But since 2018, we have now seen an upward trend in performance, and the class of 2020, despite the challenges they faced, returned commendable results. When you compare 2018 to 2019, in 2018 we had a mean of 8.7344, whilst in 2019 this rose to 8.9098. In 2020, this rose again to 9.4313. Out of the 262 candidates we presented, 250 of them, or 95%, qualified to join public universities. And this year we now have the class of 2021 who will be sitting in March 2022, and they have set themselves a target of 10.5. And we also have to remember that in 2022 we actually have 2 candidate classes, because the current Form 3 class will also sit their exam in 2022. This is why the pressure is so high in November 2022. And I can tell you once again, the level of effort, the commitment and sacrifice we are seeing from the teachers is beyond compare. And once again, let us please recognize the contribution by our teachers. I would now like to turn to the awards that the teachers have helped us to achieve. And this is on account of the results that we have seen. We have a number of teachers, and I would invite Mr. Ndegwa to please join me so that we can present this to the teachers. Yes, Mr. Ndegwa, one day you will rise up. This is the Mr. Ndegwa I'm referring to. That is also a Mr. Ndegwa, but that's... So the best teachers in KCSE performance in 2020, I will start with biology, Mrs. Cecilia Kiprop. Business studies, Mrs. Nancy Luyai. Chemistry, Mrs. Caroline Mude. Christian religious education, Mrs. Florence Ndegwa. Right, I think our guests were beginning to wonder whether we have male teachers. Computer studies, Mr. Joseph Dede, Mr. Humphrey Rotiende, and Mr. Peter Wahome. English, this is an area that we require to pay attention to. Mr. Simon Bogua. Geography, this has been almost a one-woman show most of the time, Mrs. Adelaide Muthiani. History, Mrs. Roslyn Simiyu. Kiswahili, Mrs. Damaris Kitan. Mathematics, once again, Mrs. Nancy Luyai. Physics, Miss Inviolata Nabuire. Music, Mrs. Margaret Shivembe. And last and certainly not least, Islamic religious education, Mr. Roble Kosa. The best academic departments in the KCSE 2020, compulsory subjects, mathematics, English, and Kiswahili. Kiswahili emerged the best, Mrs. Damaris Kitar. Amongst the science subjects, chemistry, physics, and biology, physics emerged the best, Mrs. Irene Boto. Humanities, geography, history, CRE, and IRE. Geography emerged the best, Mrs. Adelaide Muthiani. Technicals, that is music, French, German, agriculture, business studies, and computer studies. The best there was computer studies, Mr. Peter Wahome. All of this would not be possible without the people who take care of the boys in the center. And I would like to recognize, please hold on, Mr. Ndegwa, a number of non-teaching staff who are also responsible for the care agenda. Academic support, Mr. Solomon Chomba. Finance and administration, a man who knows the file of every young man here, Mr. Tom Muli. Health services, this is an area of success, Catherine Mutuku. Catering, very important area in the lives of the center. Margaret Mavonga. The grounds, Mr. John Maina. Security, Adan Abkanu. Yes. Mr. Ndegwa knows he was here. Transport and travel, Mr. Diba Kosi Jatani. Maintenance, Hesbon Onyango Orlando. And a very special award for her special service in our finance department, Ms. Diana Ajinja. Mr. Maina, are you here? And or you are on the ground somewhere? And Mr. Aden, thank you very much, Mr. Ndegwa. Let us give Mr. Ndegwa another 3 factorial. Let me end this report with a special vote of thanks to all our supporters and sponsors. STAREHE has existed these 62 years on the goodwill of governments, organizations, and individuals here in Kenya and from around the world. I've already mentioned those who supported us during the resumption of learning. We have hundreds of other sponsors, and top amongst these are alumni of the center. And in a few minutes, you will hear about the great work being delivered by the Old STAREHE Society, today represented by the Vice President of the Society, Ms. Zainab Major. We also have Equity Foundation supporting a number of boys, and KCB, who have been with us for many years. And I'm really happy to see their CEO today. And I would like to give him just 2 minutes to say hello to the men of STAREHE, to the STAREHE fraternity. You never know what he will say. Please, 5 factorial for Mr. Joshua Igara.
Thank you very much. It's okay. I just very excited to be here today, and I'll make just a couple of remarks and maybe speak a bit more to the young men. And I did come with a number of friends who are old STAREHEans who are here. Peter invited me to join and as a guest today. I was speaking to Peter Kenneth. Most of you know that he was an old STAREHE many years here. He's an old friend of mine. And listening to the center director, I think 2 things I would like to say, and as for the high achievers, I know the motto of the school is Natulenge Juu. Am I right? The ambitions that we have seen over the COVID, and the center director mentioned about the challenges, and I think this just shows this new decade within what we see today, that the world changes and transforms. And my challenge, and we'll continue to provide our support as KCB, as a group, to the young men who are studying, because in the words of Nelson Mandela many years ago, I'm always reminded that education is the only way that I, who grew up in the highlands, for instance, can get an opportunity today to sit and lead the large organizations, which is the largest financial institutions in this part of the world. So education gives you, and STAREHE as a center, for me, demonstrates what that vision of the founders was. But 3 challenges I will say to you, which I think we also some lessons that can help young men, because sometimes the challenges and difficulties look beyond. And with technology today, and I'm happy to see the work that we're doing on our innovation center and our lab here. I wrote just 3 comments to encourage you, and some moments that can also reinforce what Center Director spoke about, and allow me just to read for you 3 items. That I think in today, anyone else can raise up from anything. It's important to have that conviction that looking back, unless you're looking for insights, doesn't change the platform you have today as a young person. And really, anyone can recreate what they can become. Whether it is Peter going to speak today as an old boy of the school, leading the largest institutions in this part of the world, and nothing is really permanent. And I always encourage young people that no one really is stuck. And because of social media and the challenges across the world, as long as you remain disciplined, Joseph spoke about discipline as quintessentially what is the overriding, catalyst that changes what you want to achieve. And I'd rather say that you better be ruthless in your discipline, because that is what transforms and changes where you're going and what you will achieve. And what really matters for me to you is that you choose today. Is a very important day today, celebrating our 62nd Founders Day, and never look back. And for us, I will challenge and encourage that when I listen to 3 values and principles that the Director mentioned, I would say today perhaps consistency is not enough. To lead an institution like ourselves, we like to work with young people when they finish their Form 4s. We do have achievers in our program today. We do have many young people today, and we offer programs. We transition. So just what they'll be looking forward, we do provide apprenticeship to close to 200 young people when they finish their Form 4s, those who are going to universities. And I'd like to have conversations with you just later on how we can work with the students that are doing their Form 4s this year in the school. We also have programs that help the students go into university education. So that's another activities that we're going to be able to work with yourselves. And I come here to demonstrate our commitment and be able to work long term. I think what challenge has shown us today for COVID is sometimes even our best plans. Even in our own institutions, we prepare a lot of aspects. We prepare for financial crisis across the world. We prepare for security challenges in our institutions. We do modeling and simulations. But the Center Director, even for us as a large bank, we had never anticipated a viral attack. And we've been affected. We've lost a couple of staff members, and we've had huge infections. But we are progressing, and we are able to make progress going forward. And I would say for you, what I offer as KCB is perhaps a more long-term partnership, which is what you look for. We spoke with you many times before. So I did come today to commit that this year going forward, I think we want to work with the next 10 years. We will commit 5 million shillings to the endowment fund every year for the next 5 years to continue to support and strengthen the school's effort to see beyond. And whatever more we can do, because we do have a foundation which has scholars, we do have scholarships as well, as a commitment that will stand with you. And finally, for the young ones, and those especially who are in this year, I like the challenge you've given yourselves for 10.5, I got it right. If there's one institution that I will say that can stand to become the best and #1 institutions is the class of 2022. And you have 2 classes this year. So I want to be sure that next year I will come back, if you invite me, to celebrate achievement of the ambition of 2022. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the very best. Back to you, Final Director.
Wow. I'm happy, you can imagine. Thank you very much, Mr. Igara. 5 million shillings every year, this coming 5 years. Outstanding. 10 years, oh. Okay, somebody needs to hold me. Thank you very much. Also with us is another friend that we worked with while I was at the farm, and a guest also of Mr. Ndegwa today, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nation Media Group, Mr. Stephen Gitagama. Now, if you want to know who is powerful in this country, don't listen to other people. They decide who is powerful. Please, 3 Factorial, welcome Mr. Gitagama.
So, let me start by saying good afternoon. Habari za mchana. Vijana mko wazima? Vijana mko wazima? Asante sana. So, Bwana Director, Josephat Maura, Guest of Honor, Peter Ndegwa, the Patron Representative, Julie Kibaki, Principal Secretary, and all guests, invited guests. I think it's a great honor for me to be here in the midst of this great team. Josephat is my senior in the profession that I work for. And on my way here, I was supposed to meet somebody, and I asked the person, she asked me, where are you? And I told her, I'm going to STAREHE Boys Center. She sent back a message, and I'll read this message before I make my comments. I admire Josephat Maura's dedication to the school. Imagine, irrespective of his busy schedule, he always has time to volunteer in the school every other day, and he does it for free. I do not know him in person. So let us give him the 7 Factorial, please. Thank you very much for that, and congratulations and thanks. There are not many people who are like Josephat, and really you boys are lucky to have Josephat as your director. Now, let me just tell you something about the Nation. The Nation Media Group was founded 62 years ago, in 1959. So you can see why the Nation and STAREHE are age mates. And that's why I'm here. I'm also celebrating 62 years of the founding of the Nation. And that really puts me very close to you. In addition to that, I'm also a Kiswahili and a maths teacher, and I was impressed when I saw Kiswahili winning. Congratulations and hongera kwa Kiswahili. Now, I'll just talk about 2 or 3 things. Now, the media profession is one of the few professions where anybody from any profession can join. As a doctor, as a scientist, as a teacher, as whoever you are, as an engineer, you can work for the media. Now, earlier on, there was a group that entertained us here. You know, the media does inform, educate, and entertain the public. These guys here work for the media. And by the way, I'm also their chairman because I'm the chairman of the media owners in Kenya. So I'm their boss. If they disturb you, I'll deal with them. So earlier on, there were 2 boys, there was a group of boys here that really touched my heart. I think one of them was, I think Ocheng, they sang Don Winston. They sang The Luo and Baluya Maveka Kidogo. I was impressed, and I think I'm inviting you to NTV to come and entertain Kenyans. That is very good. That's a talent that we should not abandon, and there's a talent that we can grow and build you. You will now entertain Kenyans. You will just not entertain the parents and the people of STAREHE. Now, the other point that I wanted to mention, which is a big concern to me, is that in the labor market, there's a serious problem today. The boys are endangered. Today, I also saw it practically here, that I tried to count how many departments and how many teachers share my gender, and actually I was surprised to find that we are fewer. So my boys, please, there's a vacuum out there. You must promise me that the score that you've promised to attain next year. And I want to tell you, when I was in the university, in all the subjects, most of the subjects, the leaders, the best students were from STAREHE. When we went to the labor market, the job market, I worked with Peter Ndegwa here. And we went for one interview with him and he beat me. Then I've just discovered why he beat me. Yeah? It's because he was from STAREHE. So the boys that we have, please, make sure you do what the director has said. The boys out there, we struggle to get good boys to work for us. They are very few. The discipline of the boys has to be exactly what the director said, capital D. You must be disciplined. Because at all the time, remember you're working for yourself. You're not working for your friend. There's a serious problem today of mob psychology where students in schools, and I know the PS might talk about it, students in schools are thinking like a group. You don't use your head. Please use your head. And remember, when you leave here, you go out there as an individual. You are rewarded as an individual. You are not rewarded as a group. Nobody will reward you for burning a dormitory or for beating your teacher or for doing all manner of things. They'll reward you for the good performance that you've achieved. So it's important for you to maintain that discipline and aim high, because the labor market is also very competitive. We are struggling to get very good people, I can tell you, in the labor market. But if you are good, you have an opportunity of getting that entry to the best university, getting that scholarship, and therefore getting employed by some of the best organizations. Here, I was told that, maybe let me not, actually, the man who is going to save KEMSA is from STAREHE. You can imagine. He's here. Mr. Edward Njoroge. Thank you very much. Yeah? Njoroge is my friend, and all this my friend. So I feel like I'm also part of STAREHE Boys Center. So I think I just parting as I end, the past, that is where you came from, does not define your future, but the current can determine your future. So make use of your current, make use of today, and the future will change. Most of us came from very humble background, but because of the discipline and the hard work in school, we are where we are today. I can assure you, Maura here used to walk barefooted. I know that. I know his village. And you can see where he is. He's now wearing and standing very, very, very strong footing. So I think as nation, we'll also, it's my first time here, we'll also have a discussion with the administration, and we will be making a commitment of sponsorship at the appropriate time. Thank you sana, asanteni.
Right, so thank you very, very much, Stephen and Joshua, and especially for your words of wisdom. I keep telling these men of STAREHE that when we have been out there, we have been leaders, we are looking for good people, and you come back and provide the kind of counsel you're giving, you are being given insight into the future. Lastly, we have so many sponsors that I can't go through all of them, but I want to mention the National Government Constituency Development Fund, because this is an area we are pursuing, and I believe their CEO may be here. Is he here? No, he's not. Okay. We are pursuing them because STAREHE promises integrity in the use of the funds that you provide. Novozymes I've already mentioned, who also helped us to renovate and equip a biology lab. Kenya Power is not just giving us lighting, they're also sponsoring, so maybe we will be part of their transformation as well. The Martin Donaldson Trust, STAREHE UK, Rated Daskind of Austria, the Omund Foundation in Germany, Brown Square Schools, STAREHE Foundation in the US. All of these are our sponsors. We also have a number of trusts and foundations: Education for All Children, Hatua Foundation, Hildeberg Foundation, Jomo Kenyatta Foundation, KCB Foundation, Safaricom Foundation, Kenyatta Trust, Palm House Foundation, and the Peter Nduati Foundation. All of these contributing, and amongst corporates, very many, but I wanted to mention these ones: Hypermart, Safaricom, General Accident Insurance, Gulf Africa Bank, Liberty Life, Mayfair, of course, associated with our alumnus, Peter Kenneth, and Vivo Energy, associated with our chairman. I want to end by recognizing the Emirates Foundation and inviting others. Emirates is not only a sponsor of boys here, but they have also committed to donate 400 laptops to the center. 200 of those have been delivered already, and if anybody else has some laptops that they would like to give us, we have 1,100 boys, and we would like to be the first ones to achieve that laptop policy. And lastly but not least, we have elders who have stood with STAREHE since inception, and they are not able to be here. The first of those is Wahid Sheikh. Wahid Sheikh is a founder sponsor of STAREHE, and last year, as you know, his family also contributed 60 million shillings to help us set up an agricultural farm in Kambiti and train young men in those skills. We also have the Honorable Charles Jonjo, for whom Jonjo House is named, who has also stood with the center, and I still have a box of books in the office that arrived from his office that need to be distributed. And of course, we have our patron of 52 years, His Excellency Honorable Mwai Kibaki. This coming Monday, if I could ask the band to set up, is Honorable Mwai Kibaki's 90th birthday, and we wanted to send back a message to him as a community in STAREHE that we really appreciate the lifelong commitment that he has given to STAREHE, the recognition he has of what we are doing here in the center, that when he sat with us in 2014 at the funeral service of the last of our founders, he explained why he has remained committed to the center for that long, and said when he spoke to the founders, when he spoke to the late Tom Boyer, who was our first patron, he immediately understood that principle of freedom that was guiding STAREHE, that freedom cannot be achieved unless the nation is equipped with knowledge, with skills, with experience to lead themselves, to take charge of the affairs of the nation. And we continue to celebrate that commitment that we have seen from our patron. So I would like us to recognize our patron with a very hearty 7 factorial. As the band prepares, I would like to invite the Vice President of the Old STAREHE Society, Ms. Zainab Major, to come and make her remarks. Please welcome her with a hearty 5 factorial.
Our guest of honor, Mr. Peter Degwa, Patron representative, Madam Judith Kibaki, our esteemed and honorable heads and officials in attendance from both the public and the private sector, the directors and the deputy of the STAREHE schools, the staff members, our senior and not very senior old boys in attendance today, the family and friends of STAREHE, the students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. As it was mentioned, I am Zainab Meja Adam, an alumni of STAREHE Girls Center, class of 2008, the pioneer class of STAREHE Girls Center, and I'm also the vice president of the Old STAREHEan Society. When you hear OSS, that's what it means. The Old STAREHEan Society is an association of old STAREHEans, that is the alumni of STAREHE Boys Center and STAREHE Girls Center, as we all work towards creating positive impact to ourselves, the alumni body, to the STAREHE schools, and to the society at large. I'm excited to join the school and everyone today in celebrating the 62nd Founders Day of STAREHE Boys Center, a historical milestone to this wonderful institution. And to the students who performed today, I felt goosebumps. Really good work. Keep it up. So I learned that the first Founders Day was on 14th November, 62 years ago. And that coincidentally, the school patron's birthday, His Excellency Honorable Mwai Kibaki, falls on the 15th November. Guess what? My birthday coincidentally falls on the 15th November as well. So I guess this makes today a special event for many of us here today. So I stand here on behalf of the president of OSS, Raymond Rondo. He wasn't able to make it here today. He sends his regards. I stand here on behalf of EXCO, the executive committee of OSS, who are also in attendance today. I also stand here on behalf of the general alumni of STAREHE schools, both STAREHE Boys Center and STAREHE Girls Center. And a number of them are also here today, showing up like they usually do on every matter STAREHE. Okay.
Now that Zainab's birthday is also on the 15th, can we be upstanding men of STAREHE? Okay, and then the band.
Ready?
You may sit down and happy birthday to you.
A special surprise to the ones celebrating the birthdays, His Excellency, the school, and to me. Yes, so I would like to say the founders of STAREHE Boys Center did it right. They were able to establish a brilliant school that cared and nurtured brilliant and selfless individuals. Individuals who decades later, after graduating from the school, are still holding onto the values and principles that they have learned at STAREHE. The founders did it right, and they could never be thankful enough for the opportunities that they were able to make accessible to thousands of deserving students. STAREHE is where most of us alumni came into our own, where we found our personal identities, where we discovered our talents and explored different skills, where our careers started to manifest, and where we received lessons that made us the wiser out in the world and created a foundation for the people we have become today. In STAREHE is also where we have some of our fondest and warmest memories, where we made friends, where we learned how to take care of ourselves, and where we discovered that a life built on excellence and service can go a long way. STAREHE, to many of us alumni, was a window into the world of possibilities and opportunity. Again, I say the founders did it right. Of course, they could not have done it on their own. Hence, we appreciate the institutions and individuals, families and friends of STAREHE that helped the founders make STAREHE into the wonderful institution it is. And now, as alumni, we get a chance to give back and pay it forward. In the different capacities, the old STAREHEan society and the general STAREHE alumni at large currently play a key role in keeping the essence of the STAREHE schools alive. I take this opportunity to recognize and appreciate the efforts of the many alumni that have stood with STAREHE all these years, and especially during these hard times brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's keep the fire burning. As alumni of STAREHE, today we feel tremendous pride in being part of this wonderful institution, filled with a rich history and impactful future. And as beneficiaries of STAREHE, we are always happy to celebrate and engage with our previous school. And we are even happier to see that years on, the school is still able to give to countless young deserving students what it gave to us. A chance to better ourselves and a chance to make the world a better place, as you can see. So what are we currently up to as OSS and as the alumni of STAREHE? We're doing what we can to support the schools and also support each other as alumni. The main highlights of the year were the different career-related webinars for the alumni, the annual OSS golf event being among other fundraising events, and the revival of different OSS chapters all over the country. We also were able to officially sign in a new, more inclusive constitution, and also officially collectively nominate and appoint a new patron for the association, Honorable Peter Kenneth, who is also an old boy. Earlier in the year, the alumni were able to raise several millions of shillings to go towards STAREHE Boys Center to support them through the effects of the pandemic. And as we close off the year, we want to raise funds to build the needed security perimeter wall for STAREHE Girls Center and bring safety to our younger sisters and their future. The alumni of STAREHE is a force full of strong-willed, determined, and skilled individuals, all the way from the recently graduate high school students to the veterans and the older pioneers. And we invite any interested parties, of course, that would want to work with us in whatever capacity. So a special mention to a number of alumni groups that supported STAREHE Boys Center, the students, through OSS this year. We had OSS Golfers Team, alumni, donating 1.3 million. We had the Wazee Group, 150,000 shillings. The Pioneer Group, 150,000 shillings. The Class of 78, 200,000 shillings. Class of 85, 350,000 shillings. Class of 87, 350,000 shillings, and also committed to support a student every month throughout the year. Class of 1989, 800,000 shillings. Class of 94, 300,000 shillings. Class of 2001, 200,000 shillings. Class of 2002, 300,000 shillings. Class of 2006, 320,000 shillings. Class of 2008, 350,000 shillings. Class of 2009, 150,000 shillings. And not very old class of 2008, 500,000 shillings. We also have the alumni coming together from the Shell House, donating 240,000 shillings. And we do have individuals also and their families sponsoring the students. We acknowledge and appreciate you. To finish off, I would like, on behalf of STAREHE Girls Alumni and STAREHE Girls Center, also to thank the founders of STAREHE Boys Center as well, because without the founding of STAREHE Boys Center, today's STAREHE Girls Center would never have existed. To the school, thank you once again for inviting us to this event, to celebrate this special event. It's good to be back where it all started. And to my fellow alumni, this is also a chance for you to take up a mentee or two, or better yet, a whole class to think of mentoring. And as we all work together towards nurturing and turning out wholesome STAREHE alumni into the world. We will be having the OSS annual gala dinner on 27th November to raise funds for the welfare of the association, for the alumni, but also for the schools. And I invite those who may be interested to attend. Lastly, I would like to say again, happy early birthday to the patron of STAREHE Voice Center and to me. We will be taking the birthday gifts on that corner. No, I'm kidding. Today it's about STAREHE Voice Center and happy 62nd Founders Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zainab, and you have helped me to remember. I failed to recognize a lady I spend a lot of time with, and that is Sister Soita. Please be upstanding, sister. Let us give her a hearty 7 factorial. Sister Soita is the director of STAREHE Girls Center. Mr. Igara, they have needs as well. Right, we are going to go into the prize giving for the boys now, but before we go to the boys, there was one teacher I left out, teacher of Kiswahili, a very dramatic man, so I need to be in safe hands, Mr. Alan Babashi. Where is he? He's not here, okay. Very well, then we shall move on very quickly with the prize giving. If we can get that going as quickly as possible. Mr. Dego, thank you very much.
So our distinguished guests and colleagues, parents, students, mine is very brief, and I would like to do it rather quickly because of time. It's to present to you the young men who are holding the dream . All right, it's about time. I'll do it very quickly because I know the young men here are the ones to deliver the mini grid, the dreams of the school in the future. So, Founders Day 2021, 62nd anniversary, list of prize winners. In Form 1, we have Delon Owino Ondela, Barak Nyamberi Odabu, Joel Mutugi Wambaki, Tumaini Faidi Gwako, Mark Kilonzo Nzoki, Barrington Barasa, and Mecha Yamasege. I'll start with our chief guest. So these are Form 1s. They will be really with us the longest period of time. So our chief guest will be in the sun again. Kindly. In Form 1.
Sorry, Mr. Jiri, can I also ask Mr. Babashi to come forward so that thank you very much. Please go ahead, Mr.
In Form 1, we have 3 others to make 10
because they were in the top 10. That is Bravin Samuel Ouko, Ian Nyang'ao Ombure, Morgan Muganyi, Nakitale, Bernard Apollo Atiang, and Ian Nyang'ao Obure. In Form 2, I'm sure the presentation will be shared from the dais so that we can observe the protocol and share. I think Director will help me in sending people to present so that we don't overuse our CEO. So in Form 2, Form 2A, Boniface Odhiambo Wesonga, Abdul-Jabbar Abdullahi Mohammed, George Harvey Jr., Aaron Mwania Motiso, Stephen Echacha, Brian Kiprono, Crane Calvin Onweno.
Sorry, can we remove the mask for the photo just for that brief moment? And you don't breathe, just shake.
We have also added in Form 1 to make 10, Geoffrey Odhiambo Mboya, Andrian Apollos Juma, Nicholas Omodi Okinda, Brian Kiambi Furugo. I'm told that is Form 1. I'll now kindly ask Dr. Julius John to do Form 2. So I had already called Form 2s, and our guest is approaching that class.
Pandi, that's nice. Thank you very much. Look here, young man. Fantastic. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That is Form 2. Now I call Form 3 so that you proceed. And Form 3, I'll ask. Today I'm very lucky we have very many CEOs on board. So Stephen Itagama, CEO NMG, please do Form 3 for us. Form 2. I'm now in Form 3. Let me call out Form 3 so that you check the order on the line. Simon Laban Gunga, Michael Manyang Mading, Daniel Deuri Gitao, Ruben Orieka Orina, Riton Ouma, Hosea Manyasa, Daniel Ndongo Moringe, and to include the top 10, Brian Werukomu. Brian, I don't think he's in school. Michael Kijana Dombe. That is from Fossil. So from Brian Werukomu, Anthony Mugambi, Solomon Odhiambo Maero, John Mushiri Munyi, and Rogers Mawara Maigacho. Form 3.
Thank you.
Form 4, I'll kindly ask Mr. Edward Joroge, Acting CEO, KEMSA. I think I saw you very early here, and I thank you for your response, though I'll have another chance to do that. So I would like to call Form 4 so that you approach. Gift Munene Kimathi, Michael Kijana Ndube, Lodowan Daniel Kemoi, Charles Agenda Ochieng, Bernard Wesonga Ondilo, Vincent Mambo, Rosanna Obadia Moseti. And also, to make the 10, we picked from those who happened to be among the top 10, and classes are 7. So we have Adrak Ogumbi Okumu, George Odhiambo, Aaron Mwangi Kasanga, Brian Deto, and Abu Kadir Mohammed Abdi.
Thank you very much. Hold the book. Nice one. Good. Thank you very much.
That is Form 4. Then we go to the sciences. I'm told we are not done with Form 4. Thank you so much. We go to the sciences.
Stand this side, sir. Thank you. Fantastic.
I'll ask our chair, MC, Mr. David Moreithi, to relieve our guest in this next pleasant task of rewarding the sciences. Chemistry Junior, Brian Mutiso Mweke, and Chemistry Senior, Michael Kijana Ndumbi. Physics Junior, George Harvey Jr. That is Physics Junior. Physics Senior, Gift Munene Kimathi. Biology, Crane Calvin Onweno. Senior, Michael Kijana Dumbi.
Thank you.
Prize winners, after you are done with receiving your award, please put on the mask.
Good. Angalia hapa. Thank you. Here, look here. Thank you very much. Angalia hapa kijana. Here. Hapa, angalia hapa. Thank you very much. Look here. Thank you. Angalia mkono hapa. Thank you. Look at my hand. Jana, look here. Thank you. Angalia hapa. Thank you. Look here. Thank you. Again, look here. man, look here. Look here. Hold the book, hold the book. Fantastic. Hold the book and look here. Take off your mask. Angalia hapa kijana tena. Thank you. Look here again. Wonderful. Thank you. Look here. Look here. Look short. Thank you.
And to wide the sciences, there is the Medics Shield, which was donated by old boys who are medical doctors. For the fourth former who has the best results in bio and chemistry, and who is therefore likely to join the ranks of old STAREHE doctors in the future. This year, it goes to Michael Kijana Dumbi. Michael Kijana Dumbi, raise your hand so that I know where you are in the queue. There you are.
Remove your mask and look at my hand. Hold the book. Hold the book. Thank you very much. Look at my hand, young man. Thank you very much. Hold the book. Look here. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ali hapa. Hold the book. Hold the book. Thank you. Congratulations again. Look here. Wow. Hold the book and look here. Well done. Thank you, young man. Thank you. Hold the book and then look here. With the other hand, hold the book. Hold the book. Thank you. Hold the book. Look here. Thank you.
Mr. Joseph Ogutu, Chair, Safaricom Foundation. If you kindly relieve our chair, we would appreciate.
Jana, shika kitabu angalia. Utoe mask. Shika kitabu angalia pande. Angalia pande. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, the photo again. Hold.
Now, yes, we are done with the sciences. There is a prize, the Daniel Manzo Prize. I don't know whether this old boy is with us, but there is a prize with his name that goes to the fourth former who has the best results in English, Swahili, and humanities subjects, and who is therefore likely to join the ranks of old boys legal fraternity. We need those kind of people. This year's winner is Abdikadir Mohammed Abd. I don't know whether he has recognize that and appreciate. Charles Agengo Ochieng, has he already picked his prize? I want to go to the other subjects. That must be the medics shield.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I will continue so that that line gets organized. Mathematics. Junior. Allen Mwania Mutiso. And Shadrach Owumbi Okumu, that is junior mathematics.
Thank you. Thank you.
Geography, junior, Abdul-Jabbar Abdurahi Mahat, and senior, Bernard Wesonga Ndiro. I also have a junior, John Wiyamading, and Kingsley Mutongi. Kiswahili is Boaz Nyambwala Jimmy. Junior is Boaz Nyarwamba, and senior is Jimmy Wambua Musyoka.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Look at the hand, hands again.
Hope I'm not running behind. I've already called Kiswahili. German was Austin Kipemboi Chebi. Gift Munene Kimathi for senior. This one is a special one, Boy of the Year. This is an award given to the outstandingly industrious and well-behaved boys of the school. In 2021, they are Nicholas Omondi Okinda of 2D and Isaac Ozuga Okech, 4A. For this one, it is special. I'll ask Judy and our chief guest to present it jointly.
more. You're done? Thank you very much. Okay, look here while they're receiving the books. Look here, one more. Fantastic, thank you. So, Jana, chicken you up on finish from the phone. Angalia hapo. Angalia. One more.
Thank you very much. I invite the director to continue with the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njiri. Let us please give that team, Mr. Njiri, Mr. Ndegwa, Ms. Pamba, Ms. Boto, and Charity. Okay, I don't know young people. 3 factorial. It is now my pleasure to welcome our chairman, Mr. David Muredi. 3 factorial, please.
Our chief guest, Mr. Peter Ndegwa, who has with us also a couple of other guests, Mr. Joshua Oigara, Mr. Steve Getagama, the representative of our patron, Ms. Judy Kibaki, and I recognize Judy because she never fails to be here to represent the patron or to come. Last year we skipped 1 year because of COVID, but as soon as we are able to resume, she's back. So thank you very much for your passion for STAREHE and for taking time to be here with us. Dr. Joan, representing the Cabinet Secretary and your colleagues from the Ministry. Before I start, I would like to introduce the members of the Managing Committee who are here with us today. So if I could ask you to stand and we can all get to know you. So right on my left there we have Mr. Harin Dafa, who is a member of the MC and also one of the vice presidents of the Old STAREHEan Society. Of course, Sister Jane Soita, director of STAREHE Girls. We have Mr. Murada Kinodia, who is also an old boy and one of the members of the managing committee. And of course, Josephat Moora, who everybody knows is your director as well as a member of the managing committee. So thank you very much for being here and for taking time to be with us here today. As I start, we are here today really to celebrate Founders Day. And the 3 founders of this noble institution, every old STAREHEan has a file number. In fact, even the current STAREHEans have a file number. And the first thing they do when you meet a STAREHEan is they tell you, I am Mr., for example, Peter Ndegwa, file number XYZ. Unfortunately, we don't have file numbers for members of staff, but if we did, then the founders that we are here to celebrate today would be file number 1, file number 2, and file number 3. And all members of staff, if it was up to me who had worked for STAREHE, would also have a file number. And why do I say this? Because the people who work for STAREHE are in their ways special. And today, our guest of honor, if you'll permit me, I will spend time to talk about what I consider to be the unsung heroes of STAREHE, and indeed the unsung heroes of any educational system in any country, and the unsung heroes of the country, which is the staff, the teaching staff and other staff who work in educational institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have here a staff, I believe, of 80 or so teaching staff, plus another 68 support staff, making 148 staff. These are the people to whom we entrust the lives of the thousands of boys who pass through here. There are just over 1,100 current students, but based on the file numbers, there have been over 15,000 who have passed through this school. And all these boys, we have entrusted their lives, their academic development, their character development, their transition from boys to men to the staff who work in these institutions. I know they have been recognized earlier, but I will ask first the senior leadership team to stand. I would like to recognize them this time on behalf of the managing committee. So if you will stand, please, Mr. Njiri, Mr. Mwangi. So starting from the far right, your right but my left, Mr. Waithaka. Next to him, of course, is the head of academics, Mr. Njiri. Mr. Fred Okono, who is the deputy director. Right behind me, Josephat Moora. I see Mrs. Kiprop is there. Mr. Ndede, there he is. Mr. Mwangi, do I see you? Yes, next to Mrs. Kiprop. Mrs. Nyakariga. Mr. Kioi, the head of exams. When we talk exams, that's the man we all look at. So, Mr. Achach. There he is, Mr. Achach. He is masked, so I had not recognized him. So mine is to say, on behalf of the managing committee, on behalf of the students, and on behalf of all the sponsors and friends of STAREHE, is to say thank you to you, first as the leaders of the staff. Can I then ask all staff also to stand, please? So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the 148 people who ensure that what we call STAREHE works. They are the ones, as I repeat again, to whom we entrust the lives of these young men. We entrust the academic development of these young men. We entrust, even more importantly, the character development of the young people we see in front of us. And increasingly, as demanded by the labor market and indeed seen in the curriculum-based development, the skill development of this. You may sit. Thank you very much. But as you sit, I'm going to ask the young men of STAREHE to recognize the staff with, I've had 7 factorials. Can I ask for a 9 factorial today? Thank you. I might have asked for a 15 factorial, but I recognize that I'm probably standing between you and a healthy lunch, so I will keep it at that. So why do I call them the unsung heroes? Because ultimately, every educational institution, the one constant, the students come and go through and rise through, the one constant is the staff who work there. They are the ones who hold the culture, who make sure that it remains. When we say STAREHE, we are not referring to a red and blue uniform. When we say STAREHE, we are not referring to these buildings, wonderful as they may be. When we say STAREHE, when I, as a young person, say I'm going to STAREHE, it means that I am entrusting my life to a group of people who will guide me through the formative years and transform me into a responsible adult, ready to face the future, ready to face the world of employment with all its challenges, with its pleasures, with its disappointments. And that stuff defines, in many ways, what STAREHE is and represents what is called the STAREHE way. Now, we have had a lot of debates about how you define the STAREHE way, but I do not attempt to put it in words. The STAREHE way, we see it when we see people like Mr. Ndegwa here, when we see people like Mr. Abdi here, when we see Edward Joroge, who we are looking forward to rescuing KEPSA, when we see awards of the Best Constituency Development Fund going to Mr. Peter Kenneth, the Honorable Peter Kenneth, we understand through the actions and through the way that they conduct themselves what the STAREHE way means. And you are the custodians of the STAREHE way. We look to you to make sure that it is kept the way it is and where it needs to be developed and to grow. It is you, our staff, who do that on our behalf. Earlier, when I talked about the pillars, we talk of two pillars in educational institutions, the academic development and the care or the pastoral development or the character development. Increasingly, we have had a lot of mention of curriculum-based development and a change that emphasizes more the development of skills. Dr. Juan, if I may say, STAREHE has been years ahead when it comes to recognition of that other third pillar, the need to develop schools. The computer center that we see here has been in place for many years. We saw some of the work that they are doing. We saw the St. John's Ambulance, the Scouts, and others. And STAREHE has, for a long time, emphasized the need to not just give you the academics, develop your character, but also try to equip you as best as possible with additional skills that will help you as we go forward. So we believe that in many ways, the STAREHE as it is, the STAREHE way will be even more richly rewarded by the new dispensation. And this dispensation is not there just because the ministry wishes to change the curriculum. It is there because there has been a recognition that the world out there requires that students live with a more developed set of skills than they have hitherto done. And it's not just something that is there in Kenya. For those involved in international education, we have the International Baccalaureate or the IB system, we have BTEC. There are other forms that are practiced across the world that recognize this. But I'm glad to say that when I look at STAREHE, we see that this is an institution that has taken the lead in that way as it has in many other matters. Earlier, the director, Mr. Moora, talked about the commitment to reaching 10.5. I have to say that I was here a few months ago and I met with the senior leadership team. The commitment then was 10.4. It's since improved to 10.5. So I'm hoping that by the time we sit the exams, it might have become 10.7. Just keep up the good work and keep raising the commitment. That is the STAREHE way. So this is not a day for long speeches. I'll first start by saying that I would like to recognize and thank the government of Kenya and particularly the Ministry of Education for the way that they have gone about giving priority to education during the COVID crisis. If you go around in the region and indeed in other parts of the world, there are places where the education system has suffered immensely. Schools have been closed for more than 2 years in some instances. Education has come to a standstill, and many of the challenges that Mr. Mohora talked about have continued to permeate through the society. And I recall a discussion one day where people were saying that you cannot open restaurants, you cannot open bars, and you cannot open these things before you open schools. And I think the government here, and thank you for your leadership together with your colleagues, really has said we continue to place education at the heart of what defines this country. We see it even in the contribution, the percentage of the budget that goes to education. And I have to say, as a person who travels across much of Africa and many other countries, that really the way in which we have emerged as an education sector from the COVID crisis positions us extremely well. And we thank you not only for your presence, but for your continued leadership in the education sector. In conclusion, I will come back to our members of staff, and I will say to you that we salute you, we celebrate you, we appreciate your time and your effort. In the military, one gets medals for what is called service above and beyond the call of duty. In the teaching profession, there are no medals. You do not walk around with a nice medal, but we recognize as a managing committee, and indeed I know I speak for other members and friends of STAREHE, that we recognize that in order for STAREHE to be what it is because of our staff who are willing, have been willing historically, and will continue to be willing to serve above and beyond the call of duty. So I want to say in conclusion, thank you very much for everything you have done, for everything you continue to do, and we look forward to celebrating the 10.7 at the end of this year and to continuing to grow STAREHE into an even greater institution. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. So now that the dais has been sanitized, I will not approach it anymore. But I now have the singular pleasure and honor of inviting Dr. Julius Juan, the Principal Secretary. We used to call them Permanent Secretary, so forgive my being old school, to address us. Karibu.
To the Chief Guest, the Patron representative, the Chair, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our teachers, the humble learners, I think mine is very simple, that with the humility, I feel privileged to represent my boss, Professor Magoha, who is an alumni of this institution. Not just an alumni, but something that he keeps reminding us when we work with him, that had it not been for STAREHE and the founding fathers of STAREHE, he would not be who he is today, and always keeps reminding us of the integrity, the sincerity, the honesty, the dedication with which people who go through STAREHE need to work. He's out of the country, and before I read his very brief remarks relating to the computer hub, the ICT center that we just opened early this morning, allow me to appreciate the integrity and the creativity that we saw in the computer center, the Cosmos, as they called it, that was done in 2 days, the diversity and presentations that we have seen here that speak to the creativity and the talent that young people have and to which we dedicate the new curriculum. Now, I would be unfair if I didn't say something about discipline, because that is something that stands very strongly in STAREHE and which we all do appreciate. We look around at the current fires that are going on across the country in a few schools, I was reading the papers this morning and I saw that some officials of a union were blaming the cabinet secretary for not closing the schools. And you remember that we were home for about 10 months and everybody wanted the children to come back to school. It would be unfair to decide to close schools because a few people have decided that they don't want to learn. And to that extent, I'll just mention a few things that relate to the circular that I released early this week. One is that it doesn't matter how much we are disgruntled, it doesn't matter how much we are disappointed, it doesn't matter how much we don't want what is going on. It is criminal to destroy property and put other learners to danger, and therefore any learner who does that would be treated as required. We thank our security officers. We have seen a number of them being taken to court, and we are insisting that any learner who destroys property in one school will not be allowed to transfer to another school, and that the government will not spend money on a property that has been destroyed because of arson, and therefore those who do this must take responsibility. We also plead with our principals and teachers to take charge of their learning institutions, engage the learners in a useful manner, give them a chance to express themselves so that we understand their grievances in good time and deal with them. As I was reading the paper, it was very disappointing that the officials were saying that they knew that some schools were going to be banned, and they were saying they sent a message to the cabinet secretary to close those schools instead of dealing with issues as they are. It means we are trying to pass the buck. This is a community responsibility, and each of us must play a role, whether you are a parent, whether you are a community member, whether you are a teacher, etc., etc. We also instructed that we want the board members to meet in various schools, understand the issues that are going on, so that learning can continue for those who are willing to learn. Before I read the remarks of the Cabinet Secretary, I want to thank everybody who has supported this institution and the STAREHE fraternity as a whole. We don't take it for granted, the support that we have got as the education sector, from the Safaricom Foundation and the entire team, from KCB, and every other organization that supports education. Because I know we are standing between the learners and the lunch, and I also want to take too much time out of the Patron and the Chief Guest, whose remarks we definitely want to listen to. Allow me to read the brief remarks from Professor George Magoha. So this is a speech by Professor George A.O. Magoha, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education during the STAREHE Boys Center 62nd Founders Day celebrations on November 13, 2021. STAREHE Boys Patron, His Excellency the Honorable Mwai Kibaki, the guest of honor Mr. Peter Ndegwa, CEO, Safaricom PLC, and also an alumni of STAREHE, members of the Managing Committee, Principal STAREHE Boys Center, distinguished alumni and students, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to join you this morning for the launch, or rather this afternoon now, for the launch of Professor Magoha ICT Hub. I am sure that the school will utilize this facility to ensure all learners going through the institution are computer literate. The facility will also address the needs of all learners pursuing computer studies as a subject. I am therefore happy that the Ministry of Education made the decision to supply computers to the school. As a ministry, we support provision of computer literacy skills to all learners, knowing very well that the skills are necessary to access opportunities everywhere across the world. I also hope these computers will provide the school with the opportunity to innovate and produce the solutions that will serve the whole world in future. I advise our students to use the facilities for the purposes they are intended for. They must not be used for accessing wrong content that will ruin your minds and your lives. I wish to commend the school and center for maintaining high standards of discipline throughout the year and wish you well as you prepare for the midterm break next week. I wish you joyful Founders Day and every success in your future endeavors. Thank you, Professor George Magoha. God bless you all.
It's now my pleasure to invite our patron, the representative of our patron, Judith Kibaki, to address us. As I said, she is a very loyal friend of STAREHE, and we are delighted once again to have her.
Our chief guest, Mr. Peter Degwa, the management of STAREHE Boys Center, the STAREHE Boys Center community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate STAREHE Boys Center's 62nd Founders Day, I have had time to take stock of the journey this formidable institution has taken since its inception. Though not without its share of ups and downs, the journey that has brought STAREHE this far has been as remarkable as it has been instructive. His Excellency says, looking back, I am proud that hundreds of lives have been transformed in this center over the years. Boys whose future was at some point uncertain have found hope and purpose in this space. The success of STAREHE speaks for itself. Years of gain have yielded what has come to be known as the STAREHE way, whose attributes pack many invaluable lessons, particularly for our education sector. Ladies and gentlemen, today, His Excellency in his message focuses on character building. He says, allow me to address the wave of unrest in schools, particularly secondary schools in our country, after seeing what is happening lately in our high schools. Today's average teenager or young adult is exposed to all manner of ideas, served hot via the all-too accessible internet. While I cannot condemn the internet wholesale, I must hasten to caution that, just like in life, not all that glitters in the internet is golden. As parents and teachers, the time is now to remind our young ones to engage on the internet with caution. Remember that what we feed our minds on shapes the world we immerse ourselves in. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to briefly mention character building. He says, there are a lot of blame games going on concerning the unrest our schools have suffered in recent days. Instead of assigning blame blindly, we should do a little more introspection and ask if what we see in them mirrors a broken world. The broken world that our young adults live in. Let us face it, the future we dream of will be delivered by the generation we shall hand over to. Unless well prepared, the same generation can destroy our collective dreams too. Something needs to be done, and soon. As we consider the actions to take in order to make our learning institutions safer places in which to mold young people into responsible citizens, we should emphasize the place of character in raising all-round healthy individuals. We can borrow a leaf from Albert Einstein's view of where intellect meets character. Einstein once famously said, and rightly so, that most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist, or indeed any other career, if you may. But they are wrong. It is character. Ladies and gentlemen, enough said on character building. Today we celebrate the resilience that has become STAREHE's middle name. When we proclaim the STAREHE way, we ostensibly acknowledge the existence of a point of departure that separates STAREHE from the rest. Amid so much hue and cry about youngsters lacking discipline and presence of mind to become the best they can, STAREHE has resisted the lure of joining those bent on needless truancy. That is indeed commendable. His Excellency says, I congratulate the young men in remaining steadfast in their quest for knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I applaud STAREHE Boys Center for putting up a modern ICT center. ICT, as you know, holds the key to many opportunities, especially for the younger generation. It is gratifying to note the emphasis STAREHE has put in nurturing talents, among them fine art. This will certainly expand career options for these young men. He says, keep it up. Now, allow me, he says, to leave you with a piece of wisdom from a famous icon of our times, Nelson Mandela. Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that a child of farm workers can become the president of a great nation. It is what we make out of what we have, not what we are given, that separates one person from another. Nelson Mandela. Thank you for remembering, His Excellency says, that I am turning 90 on Monday. It has been a good 9 decades, decorated by priceless memories and opportunities. With those remarks, I commend the good work the management of STAREHE, teachers, students, and the entire STAREHE community have done to ensure the legacy of this worthy institution lives on. Thank you very much. He says, Asante Sana. God bless you all.
It is now my pleasure and honor to introduce and to invite our guest of honor to come and speak to us. Mr. Peter Ndegwa is an old friend. I have known him for quite a number of years. We met in another part of the world. And now we continue to meet here in Kenya. So Peter, of course, is known to many of you as an alumni and one of the icons of corporate leadership in Kenya. Peter, karibu sana. I know I'm welcoming you back home, but karibu. We look forward to hearing from you. We welcome him with a factorio. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, men of STAREHE, as the director calls you. Good afternoon. Okay. So I'll just recognize the presence of invited guests. So our long-serving and dedicated patron, represented by Judy Kibaki, and thank you for those words. And we wish the former president a great birthday in the coming day. The director of STAREHE Boys Center, Josephat Mwaura, who has done a brilliant job together with his team. The principal secretary in the Ministry of Education, thank you for representing one of our alumni, and great speech. Some of my colleagues from the corporate sector, Joshua Igara, KCB CEO. We partner with Joshua, or Safaricom. Myself partner with Joshua on a number of products. So Joshua and I know each other a bit. Siving Itagama, of course, leading the media house, the Nation Media Group. When we were all growing up, everyone remember KBC, for those who are older. But eventually, when we went to private media, the Nation became part of the country. And of course, David Moretti, who is a friend of mine, as he says, we met many years ago, and little did we know that we were going to join together and join hands in supporting an institution we both really deeply care about. And of course, a number of invited guests, including some of my team members. There's a very important man sitting behind there who is called Joe Ogutu, who is our chairman of the Safaricom Foundation, but also is involved a lot with the M-Pesa Foundation. And whether it's STAREHE Girls or STAREHE Boys, both foundations have been involved in supporting these institutions for a long time. So I always mentioned Joe in case he refuses to release the money. And with this very able Karen, very, very able Karen. And of course, I needed to recognize sister. STAREHE Boys, Safaricom and M-Pesa have been involved heavily with the STAREHE Girls as it started up, and we continue to be involved. Really delighted of the progress. I want to recognize the leadership of the OSS. Of course, the chair, who is not here today, but of course represented by Zainab, the chair of the OSS, which is the function is coming up soon. The OSS play a very important role in galvanizing support for this institution, because the old STAREHE and old STAREHE society, whether that's on the girls' side or the boys' side, actually understand what all of us have received from these institutions, and therefore they are a very important institution in continuing to drive the spirit of what STAREHE is about. Some of us experienced the founding fathers of STAREHE. Many of you will only hear the stories about the founding fathers, but we can carry on that story and their spirit and their dream. So really recognizing the OSS. Of course, then the teaching staff and then admin staff. If there's people you remember when you finish college and go on to education, into employment, it is your best teachers. You never forget your best teachers. And whilst when you're a student, you might complain one way or another, but when you do finish and actually really do well in life, and you remember what you are taught in school, you always value and treasure the experience that you had in school. So I want to acknowledge and pay tribute to the teaching staff, to the admin staff. I remember when I was giving one of the awards to the lady from the catering, I said she's the most important person in this school, because without catering, of course, we can't have a healthy population boys. So when I was asked to be the guest of honor, of course, I've been back for almost 2 years now, 1.5 years. And I kind of thought, what will I talk about? And for me, it's easier because I am an alumni of STAREHE. So the best way of talking about stuff is actually reliving the memories of being in this school. And I really enjoyed, first of all the performances this morning, whether that is the band. There are some institutions, or rather there are some symbols that are associated with STAREHE, and the band is one of those that we never forget. So really enjoyed some of those performances. It was the guy called Onyango who did the Luo dance, and all the rest of the teams that did various performances this morning. Reminded me of when we were in school. I joined almost just over 3.5 decades ago. I'm sure some of the students are thinking, these guys are very old. I'm sure, yeah, so when I was in Shell House, that time we used to call it the Mighty Shell because it was winning all the awards, whether they are academic or sports. I hope Shell is still winning. and I'm sure if it is not, I'm sure there are other houses that are continuing, but it is the spirit of STAREHE. So as I was thinking about my speech, I thought about the STAREHE philosophy and what is called the essence of STAREHE, and my speech will primarily focus on it. And many of what is in the essence of STAREHE has already been spoken about by many of the speakers this morning and this afternoon. So it is just about reinforcing those. I'll just give you, before I start, I'll give you a story as to why this is important. So I've been a CEO for about 10 years now, or just over 10 years. And every time I interview, whether as a CEO or before that, I interview people. One of the things that I always ask, the question I ask is, tell me the 3 or 4 or 5 moments or life experiences that has influenced and shaped the person you are. Yeah? And, many people think, sometimes interviewers always go back into your experiences from a career perspective. But actually, if you look back, what makes us who we are today are those life-changing moments that you have all experienced. And for me, when I'm asked that question, because as I've gone up through the career in the ranks, I've done many interviews, as you'd imagine, including the one that Stephen refers to. And one of the things that I always say is my experience in STAREHE was life-changing. I grew up in Nyandarua in the Highlands, went to a rural primary school, and frankly, there was no safety net. If you didn't go through school, luckily I grew up in the 70s and 80s, where it was a lot more meritocratic, and if you went through school and did well, you are likely to end up in the right places. But that notwithstanding that, my experience in STAREHE was life-changing, and in a very broad way, not just from an academic perspective, but from what we learned from the teachers, of course what Griffin was about and the philosophy of this school, and the experiences of being together with other boys who many years later or many decades later we still keep in touch. So that's the reason why I decided to choose the essence of STAREHE as the way of framing the speech that I'll make. So I'm really happy to be here today with you all. It makes me proud to be associated with an institution of this magnitude, because of its very nature speaks to what we stand for at Safaricom, where we are all about transforming lives. And one of the reasons why we talk about transforming lives at Safaricom, we see ourselves as broadening impact in society, not just driving commercial objectives. And our foundation are an essential part of that. And the 3 areas we focus on are education, health, and economic empowerment. So education is a critical component. I was last here in September, back in September when I toured the computer lab, equipped by Safaricom Foundation, then engaged with students, particularly those who are sitting for the third and fourth, Form 3 and 4, and especially those who are sitting for exams soon. And that's when I heard about the 10.5. And I hear that David has now moved it up to 10.7, probably by the next time I come. I'm sure it will probably be 11. So looking forward to it. But I know we are saying it as a part of humor, but one of the things that really encourages most of us is when you see STAREHE going back, and one of the symbolism of STAREHE going back to where it used to be, is that positioning in society, and even old boys you'll find will be a lot more giving. Not that they are not giving, they'll be less frustrated, but they will feel that their efforts are not in vain. The teachers, the academic staff, the admin staff will say all our efforts are actually paying fruit. And I'm really looking forward to coming back to celebrate, I'm sure, with many who are with us today. Since I returned to Kenya, this is my third time back here, and with my visit, my first visit being in 2020, I suspect at this rate I might ask the director, Josephat, to look for me somewhere, probably in one of my former classes or in my house, because I'm here so frequently. But my deep attachment to this institution is unquestionable. And the values that the teachers and the schools imparted on me when I was a student here played an important role in my life to date. I believe this sentiment is shared by over 15,000 alumni of this institution, and a few of whom are here today, or many of whom may be watching online. All of us owe our personal and professional growth to the values that were imparted on us here at STAREHE. This is the result of the transformative power as captured in the essence of STAREHE, which is a short piece of writing that all members of the old STAREHE society and the wider STAREHE community are deeply familiar with. Let each know and honor God. Build a firm foundation of character. Judy and the former president also spoke about character. At STAREHE, your character is built in a manner that helps you to be at peace with yourself, with your God, and with fellow men. You develop a character of integrity and the spirit of confidence. And I can tell you throughout my career, one of the things you always fall back to is the essence of who you are. And as long as you remain true to yourself, even despite challenges, you'll always be able to hold your nerve and stay the course. On personal responsibility and accountability, let not your affliction limit your ambition. Be free to be who you are created to be. STAREHE is first and foremost about building a wholesome individual who has the confidence and the freedom to always do the right thing. And that's important, given the kind of societies we live in. And it is important, whether it's in corporate or public life, you find doing the right thing will always make you right. Just like myself and many of the current learners here come from a humble background. Often, when you are poor or faced with one challenge or another, the rest of the world may want to dwell on what is wrong with you. However, in STAREHE tells you what is right with you and brings the best out of you. So you build on your strength. Even in corporate life, we always talk about building on your strength rather than always focusing on the development area. Take care of yourself every day in body, dress, and manners. Take care of where you are every day in cleanliness, order, and well-kept grounds. I still remember those words from Dr. Geoffrey Griffin or Bonagi Kubu. During your years at STAREHE, you have the opportunity to take part in sports, in games, and multiple activities like we saw today. And all those opportunities give you a chance to excel. They help you learn how to take care of your body, your health, and surrounding environment. And in this COVID era, mental health is becoming a major challenge, as the director referenced. And we see it even in corporate sector, corporate area, where we are giving a lot of counseling to employees and their dependents because of the whole issue around lockdown. So enjoy the time here. The next one is never leave undone what which you can do, continually gain knowledge, skill, and experience. Seek to understand and excel in everything you do, from the humble task to the master of the world. Dr. Geoffrey Griffin is known for that famous element of saying, wash that cup really well. So at STAREHE, you develop a sharp and quick mind from immersing yourself in learning activities and being challenged by others in class, in your house competitions, and in engagement with the outside world, including other schools. We are taught that developing the mind is more important than learning, just to get good grades. When you develop a sharp and quick mind, you get good grades anyway. We also learn that duty is key. Indeed, the late Dr. Geoffrey Griffin focused on the sense of duty when he said, whatever your duty, do it as fully and as perfectly as you possibly can. Which is really one of the essence of what we learn at STAREHE. The next one is honor authority and seek truth to power. Love the brotherhood, serve wholeheartedly. I still remember in my fourth form, the holiday jobs that we used to be asked to do. I served in one of the hospitals in Nyandarua district, and I still recall up to today, and there are so many things I can't remember that I've done in life, but I still recall that experience, going to distribute medicine along the wards as the doctors made their rounds, and that whole piece about service is really key. The next one is honor authority and speak truth to power. Love the brotherhood. I've already done that one. The next one is reap confidence, success, and prosperity, capped with eternal joy, born of integrity, heart for you, your loved ones, and STAREHE, and the country and the world will thrive. If you live by the essence of STAREHE, then undoubtedly you will live a fulfilling life, and you'll excel in your world, whatever you define it to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, men of STAREHE, I am pleased that many beyond the gates of STAREHE are drawn by this essence of STAREHE. There are many who admire STAREHE. It's as evidenced by the presence of the leaders we have here today, some of whom have already spoken, to support the institution by sponsoring learners or by providing endowment and providing grants. People want to be associated with success. People want to be associated with something that will make a big difference in society. As long as we continue to do that in STAREHE, we'll continue to attract a lot of people of goodwill. As Safaricom, through our Safaricom Foundation, just specifically focusing on this year, we've supported this year's Founders' Day celebration to the tune of 550,000. So hopefully you get some good meal today. I hope. I am sure you will. I'm joking. I'm sure you will. We will also provide, in addition to that, we will also provide a grant of 5,728,000 towards supplying and equipping the school with ICT equipment to enable learners prepare and take advantage of a digital world. Of course, we are a digital company. We'll continue to be involved in these institutions and others. And the last time I was around, I actually kind of was able to see some of the needs that the school has, and we are delighted to be able to be supporting. That's why I told you that we need to treat Joe well, because otherwise the money may not come through. And of course, this is in addition to the support that we have already provided the school recently, including donating computers and other accessories. And I already referenced a lot of the other support that we provide more broadly between the M-Pesa Foundation, but also the Safaricom Foundation. So as I conclude, the greatest honor we can bestow upon the founders, the three founders of this great institution, Dr. Griffin, Dr. Gikubu, and Dr. Dr. Gikubu and Dr. Geturo, the best honor that we can bestow the three founders is to continue with the noble efforts to provide Kenyan children with an education that will ensure the sustainability of this institution. And amongst many of us in OSS, in Old Starehean society, it is how do we make sure that we have an institution that is sustainable into the future. Not just ensure that we can support the institution in the near term, but how do we make sure that we have an institution that is sustainable in the future. This is why I challenge all of us through our networks and in our individual capacities to support this institution so that it continues to be respected around the world in decades and centuries to come. We know educational institutions which have been alive for very many decades, and I'm sure the founding fathers, the three founding fathers, all dreamt about this institution surviving many of us and many generations to come, and continue to empower young people like me and others so that we can fulfill our dreams every day, and we can rise to the highest level of anything we want to do, whether in medicine, in law, in corporate life, in public life, and in anything that we choose to do. There is nothing that is small, as long as you have the spirit of, as long as you follow the philosophy and the spirit of STAREHE. So I wish everyone well. True to STAREHEan motto, let's aim higher, not to engage you. And I wish all of us a really great 62nd Founders Day. And let's live the spirit of the founders of this institution. Thank you very much, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter, for that upbeat and stirring speech. I believe your task is not over. I'm told there is a check to sign. There's a check to sign, so we're inviting you and the director, come over here. See, the check is being signed. I don't think I'm at liberty to disclose the amount. Let me keep quiet for now. But Nikitu. Yes, you're kindly requested to remove your masks. The check is received by the director and the company of Judy Kibaki and Mr. Ogutu for the Safaricom Foundation, as it is handed over to by the CEO.
Got that one? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. You also understand KCB Foundation have something to do. So I guess the director, you'll keep your position. In this case, we invite Mr. Oigara to come forward. So here, KCB. Mr. Maridisa, you're being invited to be part of the receiving party. And Ms. Kibaki.
Just 1 minute. We have a good crowd. Just come. Chairman, you can come and stand here.
Actually, remove our mask again.
Sir, ready? Okay, you can now sign. receive that. Is that okay? Okay, now you have the salam.
Let's put it straight.
Nice.
Thank you very much. That's nice. And you look at the camera too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
That's understandable. There is a kind request from Safaricom that 2 boys be there to witness, and we have 2 boys coming forward quickly. 1 big one, 1 small one, quickly come forward. Let's have a third one. 1 from 4, come forward. Who can I? Yes, come forward. Thank you for hitting that. So Peter, you have to be there among your brothers, your very young brothers.
Bring the check.
Give it now to the young man.
Yeah, just to hold it. Just hold it. Put it straight. Put it straight. Yo, sir, I'm about to meet you. Okay, angalia pande hii. Mask jana mdogo. And then you look at the camera.
Let's hold it up straight.
Smile. Are you happy?
Yes.
Principal, look at this side. Director.
Look like you're
Director.
happy.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And more. All smiles.
All smiles. All smile. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am made to understand there is one more check presentation by Old Boys. I hope you are ready. Old Boys. I see Simon Githuku and Harry Dafa. Old Boys.
Oh yes, I need to explain this one here.
You need to explain this. Give me a mic.
Old boys.
Don't sign yet. Don't sign yet.
Come this way.
Those are the photographs.
Yes.
So you look at them.
I need to explain this check. Joram Kiari and his class, Mr. Kagimbi, have committed to be raising every single month sponsorship for 1 boy. So by the end of the year, they will have sponsored 12 boys that particular year. And this is a great innovation that we have seen from this particular class. Let us please give them 7 factorial.
Sorry for that. Look at the cameras. Look at the cameras.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Justin.
Are we done? Please. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Sorry?
you.
Okay, somebody can. It's already signed.
Oh, outside. Yes.
Okay, have that one.
Yeah. We bring in the review. We need to take the photo again, eh? Yes. With a valid check.
Okay, now, yeah. A photo with a valid check.
A photo with a valid check. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And the hour of generosity is here with us because there's another check to be presented by Convergence. Interesting spelling. Convergence Solutions Secured. This is by Isa Mohammed. I believe that's a check now. The director is receiving that check. Convergence
Just have a
Solution.
for the photography. Just a salam, sir.
Let me be clear here. As we receive this one, it seems like as we receive checks, others are coming from the pockets. So in case there's somebody else preparing your check, I'm not worried about staying in the sun. I will receive more. This is from Mr. Isaac Mohammed, 8689, isn't it? 8589. An old boy, 500,000 shillings. Thank you very much.
Okay, the salam for the photography. Okay. Look at the camera. Look at the cameras.
Mr. Gitao. Are you coming with a check?
Thank you very much, sir.
So, right, please, thank you.
Okay, the director is saying if anybody else is doing a check, he's here. Isa, I do remember you in class.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I've got my classmates. My classmates have been touched. Please come, Bernard.
To the chief guest, our dummy check is just being prepared. Class of 78, 83, this class. We are represented there, Dan Lansdowne, the coordinator, and myself, Bernard. 280. True sponsorship.
Remove that, please. And you look at the camera here. Good. Thank you very much.
Unless it's somebody else. Oh, okay.
Director.
The director is happy, but not yet ready to leave this space. If anybody else is coming forward, this is the moment. And I think we are done. Mr. Church is receiving the checks, not giving any. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Our chief guest. As I said, thank you very much for your stirring and upbeat speech. But now, just allow me. There are two dignitaries who have sat with us today, and I would like to introduce them. One of them, he has no medal, but is a humble learner, and his influence lasts forever. He is Mr. William Imemia, who was a teacher here a long time ago, and he's here today. So please just wave to the people. He was a teacher here for a very, very, very long time. From 1964 he was here. So he saw STAREHE in those nascent steps. The next one is an old boy. He has a file number. And all I can say is that, in STAREHE we are trained to be eagles, and whichever way you sow, we do so. And we have another dignitary here in the name of Mr. Peter Pius Ladino Emera. Please wave to the people. Thank you. Our chief guest, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the tail end of our program. And we would just love that we get this one right here and now. So, after this, there will be the singing by the school, and the old boys you are expected to join in of 40 years on. That will be followed by a photo session, first of the chief guest and the guests on the pavilion, some of the with the prefect, and then with the teaching staff. That will be done around there. Then there follows for you refreshment. This refreshment is offered by one person who has not been mentioned. In fact, he's rarely remembered, but he is every time there in the life of this young man and all of us. Mr. Patrick Waithaka, he is the head of students' welfare, and he has refreshments ready for all of us. So please, let's here get this one. Those seated on this pavilion, you will be asked to go to the hall for your refreshment. Parents and other invited guests here, please find your way to the dining hall where your refreshments are. Old boys, you know your way around here. you just go to the Form 1 ground. I hope you can remember. There is a tent there for old boys. So old boys go to the Form 1 area. Our teaching staff, please find your way to the staff canteen. That is where the refreshment is for you. Once that one is done, we shall relocate to new school. Traditionally, we would have a grudge match between STAREHE and Lenana, but it is not possible this time round. It's normally one of the most hotly contested football match in the school calendar. But today it will be the Alpha Cup. The Alpha Cup. Our Form 4s, I believe, will be fighting it out. So there is that. And we are encouraged to go across in the other school campus for that particular match. Then after that, guests will leave at their own leisure. So for now, let me invite the head of academics to come and post a vote of thanks.
Our chief guest today, our other distinguished guest, the director is going to make a presentation to you that is very special to us, and he has asked me to explain the significance of the presentation he's going to make to you. That presentation is the coat of arms of STAREHE Boys Center. At STAREHE, we are very proud. We have a coat of arms, not a badge. Now, you may have seen it just outside our assembly hall, and it is loaded with meaning, and I'm going to try and explain the meaning of the various symbols that are on that coat of arms. You will see right at the top of the coat of arms, there is a pair of bugles. Now, that is representative of our school band. Our school band is in many ways responsible for the foundation of this institution, because when STAREHE was first established on this location, the local community rejected STAREHE. They did not want the street children, the petty criminals, as they thought of them, and it is the school band that won them over by getting involved in community projects in Ziwani, in Pumwani, and in the surrounding areas. And as a result, it became very, very popular, and STAREHE found acceptance. That is what the bugles at the top mean. Between the two bugles is a mythical creature, a griffin, also known as a griffon, that is representative of the founder of this institution, the main founder of this institution. A griffon, of course, is a mythological creature, part man, part eagle, part lion, representing all the wisdom and power that goes with that. When you descend lower down, you will see a red lion right in the middle of that badge. The lion, unknown to many people, is actually our national animal in Kenya, and that is representative of the hopes that our founders had for this nation. Behind the lion, there is a starry sky. It's a blue sky with stars in it, which is rather strange because you cannot actually see stars in a blue sky. But that plays on our motto, aiming high or reaching for the sky. And secondly, STAREHE, which is the adjective here, is pretty close to our name, STAREHE. That is the meaning of that star-studded blue sky in the background. Finally, at the bottom, we have our motto, which, as my colleague and brother, Mr. Kamoni, mentioned earlier, was granted to us by the founding father of this nation, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. That is why, unlike many schools our age, we do not have a motto in Latin or English, but in Kiswahili. And it came to us direct from the founding father. That is the gift we present to you today. We may not give you a file number, but you are now marked. You belong to us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fred, Deputy Director. I now believe this is the tail end of this fabulous function. We have been very successful. I've been asked to move the vote of thanks. And you can agree with me that this is definitely going to be very difficult, considering how blessed we are today. But I must do it. So our distinguished guest, Dr. Julius, please pass our gratitude to the CS. It started simply, and I'm sure you have seen the result. We appreciate not only your coming, but the assistance. Our guest of honor, Peter Ndegwa, CEO, Safaricom, thank you so much. Tunalenga juu. Sometimes we aim so high that we have to change the guest of honor. But this time, we have been so lucky not only to have you, one CEO, but 4 of them. Now, this is a blessing. I'll not go through that list of CEOs, but I hope this luck will remain. Then, internally, I'm sure I cannot do justice to this dais, so please accept our gratitude for honoring our invite. When it was being planned, the director was assuring me when I go protocols business that it will be very, very slim. And now I know. Internally, I'd like to thank you all, as you heard our chair say, the scouts, cadets, and all those who entertained us. Thank you so much. I know you really took time to prepare. Parents and guardians invited, I want to thank you for honoring the invite, and you remind me of the only visit I got when I was here, and I had not won any prize. I was just being baptized, and my auntie came. I remember it to this day. So thank you so much for coming. Prize winners. I know there are some names I swallowed, and you asked me, but I had published. So parents, if your child brings a prize and you didn't hear his name, I want to honor. But we congratulate you. We are happy you won. Winning is good. Cooperation is better. Collaboration is even better. Thank you, and now you have taught us how to win. I'll go back to the dais because I want to thank the chair, MC, not once for coming, but twice, as he said. He was among the first to come and rejoice with us when we got the results. And I hope you noted the thread quoted, the 8.5, 8.7, 9.4. And I want to farm the target made as 10.5, not 10.4. And with the help of God, we shall call you to celebrate. Club leaders and your patrons too, I want to thank you. My colleagues, the teachers, as the chair said again today, I know I can't get anywhere, especially in my circumstances. You have been wonderful. It is not from threats or coercion, it is from your sense of responsibility that has gotten us this far. The support staff, you too, without you, we can't really move. Mr. Waidaka, especially, and clinic, the security, and everybody who really does anything small, however small, to keep us going. I am sure, even if I take the opportunity and make a speech, I will not do justice to the people who really we should be thankful to. If I try to do that, it will even appear like I am thanking only those who gave checks. I am being selective, or I may mix the names. But surely, do know from me that from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate your coming. We can make all these arrangements, and if we don't have you grace the occasion, we shall still feel like we are not there yet. But your coming shows that you agree with what we are doing, and indeed you are supporting us. So thank you so very much. And I should have started by thanking God. Allow me to finish with that, so that we don't say anything else. We really are grateful to God. We prayed that He will spare us these calamitous times, and He has been with us. Thank you so very much.
"40 years on," we sing. Yes, we are done. Just a reminder, parents and guests, make your way to the dining hall, please. Our teachers, find your way to the staff canteen. Old boys, Form 1 ground, please find your way there. In the meantime, let's have the arrangement for the photos. So, our chief guest, please Go join the prefect and the staff to take our group photograph. Slight correction. Entertainment, it is all the staff to make their way to the staff canteen, please. Not only teachers, I say teachers, my apology, it is all staff. Let's make our way to the staff canteen. Yes. By the way, our parents and visitors, you are free to meet your sons and go across to watch football. Not to worry. In fact, one of the objectives of STAREHE is that it runs like a home, never like a jail. You are free to talk to your son. Words. Yes. I was very happy to hear the voluminous singing. John, I can see you, John. The voluminous and melodious singing that came from the old boys' part.
Mwambie wacha kisa kwa mtu. Hiyo sawa. Wale wawili wangesimama hapa. Gani hapa? Wale wawili karibu na wengine. Are we good? We can do that? Kuja. Hiyo gap ni kubwa sana. Hiyo gap ni kubwa. Smile, remove your mask, you all smile very quickly. Here, there's a smile, chairman. Smile here, smile. Smile. Quickly guys, chairman, attack COVID. Smile. Good. One more. Sawa.
Mr. Okono, come and have a seat. Mr. Okono, you can stand up here. Okay, Director, we are ready for you guys. We are ready for you. We look here, we look here. 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 My hands here. Here. Here again. Here. We're good. Okay, now all the stuff out. All the stuff out now. Sorry. Here, with a smile. With a smile. Okay, all captains, your hands here. Let me have the uniform here. Thank you very much. Only the captains. Thank you very much. Hands here. Here, eyes. There is captain. Smile, even our guests, please. Let's have a small smile. Thank you very much.
Bado.
Okay, guys, now go. Okay, our guests, remove your mask very quickly. Remove this very quickly. And our hands are here. My hands are here. With a smile. Thank you. Thank you. Nice photo. Put your hand down, sir. Put your hand down. Okay. One more. I'll come in. One more. Okay. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Thank you.